Good morning, students. Welcome back to our social science class. Today we are going to learn chapter 3 Money and Credit, and this is part 3.
Informal source of credit. It includes money lenders, traders, employers, friends, relatives. So, who all are included under the informal source of credit? So, everybody can approach anybody: friends, relatives, traders, employers, money lenders. So, from these group of people, whenever it is required for us, we can approach them as a friends, relatives, traders, employees, money lenders, and we can get the money. So, there is no certain rules and regulations are followed here. There is no certain rules and regulations are followed here like the banker. So, this sector comes under informal source of credit. This sector comes under what? Informal source of credit. So when we talk about informal source of credit, so here as formal source of credit, we know that RBI supervises the functioning of the bank. But as we get the money from the money lenders or relatives or traders or employers or friends. So whether anybody is supervising that money lender or friend, whoever is giving money to us, it is not so. There is no such organization who supervises the activities of the informal source of credit. So here, which group of people mostly involved in collecting the money through the informal source of credit is that poor households. Poor households largely depend on informal sources of credit. So informal source of credit include money lenders, traders, relatives, friends, as well as employers. So here, whenever the money is borrowed from these group of people, there is no, so the rate of interest, what is that? There is rate of interest is more. The rate of interest collected from these people is more when compared to the formal source of credit. Have we understood this? So the cost to the borrower of informal loan is much higher. So why we say the cost to the borrower of informal loan is much higher means, so more than the income they are borrowing the money. More than the income, when they borrow the money, as the rate of interest is more, so they are repaying the amount more than their income. Which may make them to fall under debt trap. So the cost to the borrower of informal loan is much higher. So you can see a graph, source of a pie chart stating that source of credit per rupees 1000 of rural households in India in 2012. So you can see from the government sector, the rural people, they get the loan for 1%. Whereas cooperative society banks has a rate of interest, you can see 25% here. Commercial banks, it is around 25%. From the landlords, it is 1%. Other institutional agencies, 5%. So relatives and friends, we can see 8%. Other institutional agencies, 2%. So these are the sources of credit per rupees 1000 of rural households in India in 2012. So you can see money lenders, they play a very important role. So how much percentage? 33%. So in the previous year 2010, we can say more 52%. In 2010, we can say 52% of the people, they get the source of credit from the cooperative banks and the commercial banks. But now it has been reduced only to 25%. 52, it has reduced to 25%. Whereas in those particular years, the money lenders, what is that? In the year 2010, the money lenders, it was around 18%. But now, in the year 2012, it has increased to 33%. So, from the money lender, the people get, how much percentage of the people they get the money from the money lender is that 33%. Within 2 years of time, 2010 to 2012, 33, it has increased from 18 to 33%. Whereas from the bank sector, it has reduced from 52% to 25%. It has reduced from 52% to 25%. So as we know that through the informal source of credit. As the cost of the borrower is more, the cost of the borrower is more. So what is that higher cost of borrowing means? It means a larger part of the earnings of the borrowers is used to repay the loan. So if 10,000, 50, 20,000, if he or she is earning means, so among the 20,000, 18,000 itself it will be a loan. So that is what we say it as higher cost of borrowing, or even it may cross the income what he or she has earned. So higher cost of borrowing means a larger part of the earnings of the borrower is used to repay the loan. So what happened? Automatically borrowers have less income left for themselves for the activities for the domestic activities. So the rate of interest, why is it so? The main reason is the rate of interest is high. The rate of interest is very high in the informal sector, as it cannot be repaid. So automatically the borrower falls under debt trap. Automatically the borrower falls under debt trap. So at this particular situation, what happened? As the rate of interest is high and they are not able to repay the amount because of the less income, so automatically the enterprise, so a person who is wishing to start an enterprise, he will not do so. Why he will not do so means because the high cost of borrowing. So high cost of borrowing is nothing but larger part of the earnings of the borrowers is used to repay the loan. So when this takes place here, automatically a person will fall under debt trap. So that is, we say it as what they are not able to come out of their loan. So nothing but debt trap is nothing but, for example, I'll give you an example. Suppose a person takes a loan, and due to unavoidable circumstances, he is not able to repay his loan. Now he faces a very difficult situation and has to take a tough decision. Either he has to borrow a fresh loan or sell some part of his property to repay the earlier loan. So when he sells his property, one part of the property, automatically what happened? The property is also gone. At the same time, he is paying more money as an interest. So in such cases, the person falls under debt trap. In this particular situation, banks and cooperatives, they need to lend more to these people. So banks and cooperative societies, they need to lend more to these group of people. So when the banks and cooperatives, when they start lending more to this group of people, it may lead to higher incomes. The people who was not willing to start the business because of higher cost of borrowing, so now they will start the business by borrowing the loan from the banks and cooperatives, and they would earn higher income. By doing different activities, either it may be cultivation or small scale industries. So in such cases, cheap and affordable credit. So in this situation, a cheap and affordable credit is crucial for the country's development. When the small borrowers, they borrow the money from the banks and cooperative, when it is lended, automatically they can start a business, and it may include in the GDP of a country for the development of our nation. So that is what we need, that banks and cooperative societies, they need to lend more. So now we'll see, you can see a picture. So a significance of formal and the informal source of credit for the people in the urban areas. So you can see a picture. Just see a picture here. So a graph, a pie chart, which states that of all the loans taken by the urban households, what percentage was formal and what percentage was informed. So here in this particular area, when we talk about the importance of the formal and the informal source of credit for people in the urban areas. In urban areas, the people can be divided into four groups. From poor to rich group of people. So you can see the first pie chart, it represents poor households. The second pie chart, it represents households with few assets, that is collateral. Then next pie chart shows well-off households, and the fourth one, it shows rich households. So the blue color represents percentage of loans from the informal source, percentage of loans from the informal sector. Whereas purple color, it represents percentage of loans from the formal sector. So you can see poor households. First category, you can see poor households. In that poor household, what type of source of credit? So all these sector comes under urban households. So in this particular pie chart, first pie chart, poor households, 85% of the people, they get the loan from which sector? Means from the informal sector, from the informal sector, because they come under poor class group of people. So they are in need of money to meet their essential needs. So they borrow the money to do the business also, to do the economic activities also. So they borrow the money from the informal source of sector. Whereas only 15% of the poor household, they approach the bank and they get the loan. Whereas in the second pie chart, so a person, that is the households with a few assets, people who are having the little property with them, that is collateral. So we know what is collateral. So collateral is nothing but an asset that the borrower owns, such as it may be a land, it may be a building, vehicle, livestock, deposits with bank, and he uses those property as a guarantee to a lender until the loan is repaid. So households with few assets. So here you can see 53% of the people, they depend on informal sector, and 47% of the people, they depend upon 47% of the people, they depend upon the formal sector. So whereas in the next pie chart, you can see well-off households. So 72% of the population, they depend upon the formal source of credit, whereas only 28% of the people, they depend on the informal source. Whereas in the case of rich households, it is said that 90% of the people, they engage themselves in the bank, whereas only the remaining 10%, it is possible to approach the informal source of credit. So in this, if this takes place, so the formal sector loan needs to expand, formal sector loan. So even for the poor household. So it is from this pie chart, it is clearly understood that the poor households, even in the urban areas, they depend completely on the informal sources of sector. So that is what here it is necessary for the banks and the cooperatives. They should increase their lending. Not only in the rural sector, even for the poor households in the urban sector. So this is what the significance of the formal and the informal source of credit for people in the urban areas. So what are the two different sources of credit here? We say it as a formal sector and the informal sector. So formal sector is nothing but it includes banks and cooperatives where rules and regulations have been followed, whereas the informal sources includes money lenders, traders, employers, relatives and friends where the rules and regulations are not followed. So the rate of interest which is collected from the formal sector is less when compared to the informal sector. So there is different organizations. There is an organization like RBI to monitor the functioning of the bank, but there is no organization to supervise the activities which is carried from the informal source of sector. So the banks and the cooperatives, they need to lend more in order to give a cheap and affordable credit for the development of the nation. I think you understood this concept. So you can test yourself by testing these questions like define credit, name the different sources of credit, explain the role of RBI, distinguish between formal and the informal source of credit, why banks need to lend more. In the next video, we will go with SHG, that is self-help groups for the poor people. So in the description box, I have given you the previous link of the modern money and credit. That is how money acts as a medium of exchange and what are the different loan activities of bank for your reference.